All right, how are you doing? Have you been making headway on the back to school tasks? You got the backpack maybe, picked up some of those school supplies. But child experts are reminding you about what you can't buy off the shelf, and that is your child's mental and emotional well-being. Here to talk more about how to get your kids ready for class and maybe get yourself ready for them to head back to class is Dr. LaCavia Taylor, a clinical associate professor and licensed counselor with the SMU Simmons School of Education. Dr. Taylor, thanks so much for being with us this afternoon.
Yes, and thanks for having me.
This is a difficult time, not only for the kids, but in a lot of cases for parents. We were talking about this in one of the breaks here, and I was talking about how, I saw a friend posting on Facebook that their kid is, starting elementary school, and they're having a hard time with that too. It's a big change of life.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so I think that is really true. And so I think one thing we need to start doing with parents is start talking to their kids about their emotional health. Get them accustomed to doing that so it becomes almost natural. And one way to do that is start initiating those conversations with open-ended questions. So instead of, did you have a hard day? What was hard at school for you today? Or when did you feel sad at school today? Or what it was about school that made you feel sad? That's going to help children open up a little bit more than just giving you it was fine, it was okay.
Those one-word answers.
Those one-word answers, which then, they're going to go into shutdown mode.
And then you might get angry back, like, why are you only giving me one-word answers? So ask those open-ended questions.
Open-ended question. Tell me more about, tell me a little bit more about what made you upset. Tell me a little bit more about what made you angry. Tell me what made you excited, those kinds of things.
So important too, isn't it? Because we just heard that tragic story a little while ago about the little boy who, was bullied and, it ended very tragically for him. So many parents don't even know that stuff's going on at school, and maybe that's where these conversations kind of help bring that out.
Yes, and what you're making a really great point, talking about and doing check-ins at the beginning and the end of the day. And that way you can really catch, like, okay, did their behavior change? They maybe said they talked about being excited in the morning, and then in the evening you did your check-in, oh, now I'm really fearful, I'm really scared. And it goes back to what you said earlier, as parents, they have to also be very open to how they're feeling and doing. If they have their own things going on, they're not going to be as present and focused on what could be happening with their child. So modeling that too.
And I guess too that we have to be careful because, my time in school obviously is going to be very different than what, my kids' time in school is like now. And we've heard so many kids who talk about the threats at school, the worries that they have about violence at school, because we've seen it sadly so many times, including right here in our own backyard. How do you talk to kids about that? Because, some parents might be like, I don't really want to bring that all up, because it's heavy, but at the same time, you feel like you have to.
You have to, because if you avoid it, that sends the message that's not okay to talk about. So it's important to have honest but age-appropriate discussion. So of course, for the younger children, keep it very concrete. So remind them about ways you're going to keep them safe, remind them of ways about they can keep them own self safe, have them start working on being observant. So if you notice something that does not feel right, say something to your teacher. If you notice someone in the building, and that gives them some autonomy too, to know, okay, I also have control in this situation. So focus this discussion on what they can control.
How do we make this positive? Because, I used to complain about going to school. I loved going to school though, but it was like the thing to do that you complain about it, and you talk about kids dreading heading back to the classroom. How do you sort of change that narrative with your kids and try to pump them up and get them ready for a year? Because it's something you've got to go do.
You've got to go do regardless, right?
You might as well, go into it with a good mindset.
Yes, so get them excited. The parents' excitement. So parents have to be excited about it, and then remind the child of their successes. Last year you were struggling in math, you went to tutor and you were able to improve. And also focus on what they can do well. You're really creative. Those creative skills are going to play a huge role when you're in English. So really helping them see how much fun it is, and remind them that there's parts of school that's not all academic either, but even if it is academic, it all is fun ways to learn.
And maybe don't show dread as a parent too, like, talking about how you're going to have to get up early to take them to school and the homework and all of that.
That's right, yes, exactly. Yes,
so I got that all wrong for years.
It's okay, always time for correction.
Hopefully my kids will forgive me for that and many other things.
Yes, yes, of course.
You're making me feel better. Dr. LaCavia Taylor with the SMU Simmons School of Education. Thanks so much for being on with us and maybe making this a little less intimidating for the kids and the parents.
Of course, thanks for having me.
All right, let's talk about weather now. Oh wait, Well, let's talk about the back to school supply drive first. Scan that QR code there on your screen. How could I move on to weather and get past this? WFAA is hosting a special school supplies drive right now because, you know, a lot of kids show up and they don't have what they need. A lot of families are struggling. That code will take you straight to an Amazon wish list where you can pick out supplies for local schools. You can also find the link, by the way, if you don't have your camera ready right now. It's at WFAA.com. Any help you can give is greatly appreciated.